Hello, I'm Sarah Scott and we're on to our 5th episode of the Off the Pole podcast, where I interview interesting and informative people to help us pole dancers train smart so we can dance more. Greta Pontarelli is my guest today. She started pole at 59 and has since racked up 5 World Championship titles. We got to talk about how she brings artistry to the stage, her training regime and how she keeps her body performing optimally. Loved getting to sit down and chat with her, so I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Well, welcome, Greta. Thank you so much for being on my podcast and giving us some of your weekend.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Now, I've done a little bit of an intro, and I'm sure that many of the pole industry already know a little bit about you already. You've done lots and lots of things in our community. But am I right in saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, have you won 5 world championships at the Masters level? Is it 5?
Yes.
That's incredible. Are you going to go for a 6th?
People ask me that, and I have to say it really isn't on my bucket list. I would like to use my energy to cast our net a little broader beyond the pole industry and to show the world like what a fantastic art form and a form of fitness this is. So I think it's more into trying to inspire other people right now. Mm-hmm. But I never say never. Maybe.
Yeah, you're keeping it open. I like that. That's fine. You're not going to commit to too much. And you've said, I've watched quite a few of your interviews, and you've done some different videos and things. As you say, you're kind of getting out there into not just the pole industry, but into the wider world. And you've spoken about how you can inch closer towards your goal. So it's all kind of the little victories that build towards something a lot bigger. So is there anything that you've been working on recently that you've had that feeling where you've triumphed over something that you've been working on for a long time?
Oh, yes. Deadlifts.
Yeah.
Because, that was my nemesis move for so long. And I would say, okay, I'm 1 inch higher today. Or I felt more stacking in the muscles. There's something about it that felt better. And maybe the next day it went back again. But I'd say, okay, it's probably a little, my body's recovering from yesterday. Just give it a few more days, let it rest. And then it would come back and I would see if I could keep getting further and further. I started expanding. I don't use weights, but I do like pull-ups, and I found out by doing pull-ups and by really looking at the biomechanics of the move, it really helped me. So I really had to be a bit analytical, and I really had to just look at it, watch, and see how to stack my body, because it is difficult at my age. It takes a tremendous amount of strength, and people like you that make it look so effortless. I just look at that.
It's difficult at any age. I think we all struggle.
You don't look like it, though. It looks like you just are weightless. Seriously. And I love, that's what's so beautiful about that art form. It looks effortless, and it looks like everybody's flying. And so that's what I aspire to do. And I think for people that no matter where they are, even if it's something very simple, I think that there's always something you can come back from a workout and say that I got better, even if it's maybe I feel that my line's a little better, my form, and kind of build on those little victories.
I think that's a really, really important point to make, and I think we can all get quite bogged down with trying to improve all the time and see big changes, but it's actually kind of the little ones that all accumulate and actually add up to the long-lasting changes. But do you ever feel that you get unmotivated? Do you ever get those days where you feel like it's a bad training session and you want to try and turn it around? Like, do you have any tips for making it a bit more of a positive ending to a session if you're having not so much of a good one?
I think everybody has these moments, because sometimes you get in the studio, maybe it's very cold or it's hot and you're slipping, and the air conditioning is not on. So you think, nothing's going right. I can't do anything. But what I do when that happens, I usually put on music that is really inspiring to me. And then I put my cell phone on video, and I start videotaping some just basic things I do. And then I always find tons of things I could do better. I go, that line could be better. I wasn't quite lyrical enough, or I moved too quickly through this. Let me try it more in slow motion, or try a different approach. And then I watch the videos after every pass, and I see all these things that I could refine. And so that motivates me, because I go, I got to fix this. I'm sure you do the same thing,
yeah,
right?
That's very, very similar to what I do. I always start with good music and then video and then look it back and then I find all sorts of things that I can either play with or explore or things like that. That's very, very similar.
Yeah. And so that inspires me because I never want to leave a session from not feeling like I have corrected something. There's always ways where I feel like I could have a better line for the audience or bring more artistry to it. Sometimes it's just the expression, the difference between doing a porte-à-bas around your head where you are doing something like, instead of just this, you're following the hand or you're reaching deep inside, giving something to them. So I look at that and I say, am I really reaching deep to the core of my being and making this an art form, or am I just going through the motions? Is it just a trick?
Yeah.
And I aspire so much to bring artistry and meaning into the tricks. And that's a challenge sometimes, because sometimes you're doing a difficult trick and you're just focusing on getting through it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so then later you look at it, okay, I did the trick, but what was I saying? What did it mean? And sometimes it's just the glance at the audience or a glance here or something. There's some little tiny thing that brings it to life and allows you to connect more deeply with the message that you're trying to share in your choreography.
Is that part of your choreography process? Obviously, you've performed a huge amount all over the world, competing and performing and things. And do you have a specific choreography process? Like, do you start with the song and kind of work from there? Or do you more start off with an idea and then find the song to suit that and then suit your movement to the song?
I think it works in different components. Music is challenging because you want music that inspires you, and you also want music that, if it's live streamed, it has to pass through clearance. Some music won't clear and you can't use it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one thing. And the kind of music that I like, I tend towards things that are a little more lyrical, a little more classical, because I like crescendos. I like things to go up and then to move down, and things to have moments where you take things down almost in slow motion, and then moments where maybe you speed up and do something that's a little more exciting, because I believe it's the kind of play of different colors and textures that really turn it into an art form. And so that is a challenge. If I find music that moves me, then I try to say, what does this say to me? Somehow that music has a message. And it seems that all my choreography seems to be around the muse of transformation. Mm-hmm. Somehow it just always comes back to being the phoenix that rises out of the ashes, and looks in those ashes and sees, like in our own lives, the blessings that are there, and water them so they germinate and grow, and then this phoenix is reborn. And we go through those struggles in our own lives. We go through challenges. Mm. And if we can turn those challenges into thrusting blocks that create success in our lives, that's what it's all about. So I love doing pieces that people look at and somehow they go, that's my life. Or, yes, I've been through that, or I'm going through this, and seeing that tells me what I need to do. And I get these beautiful emails from people. And that's what's so inspiring, because I see so many people in the world are looking for inspiration. They're looking for something to move and motivate their life. They're looking for, what is the meaning of my life?
And something they can relate to, and something they can aspire to, and they can see kind of a reflection of what you're doing on stage to what maybe they're going on in their life. And yeah, I think pole does that with a lot of people, that they can express themselves in so many different ways that you can't normally do in everyday life, and that gives people the opportunity to have that release, which I think why it's so therapeutic.
Yes, and I believe that there's something in it truly for everybody. And the reason that I love pole so much is I look at my age and I can't tumble anymore. My body won't let me do it. I just don't have the fast twitch muscle, the rebound. I mean, on springs I could, on a spring floor, but competing I could never do that. Mm. But you can learn to fly. You can do things on the pole. You can develop your upper body and your core. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is that you could just keep going, and you can use it as a means of expression. You can use it as something that really can heal and unfold the inner spirit. Uh,
I mean, a lot of people use kind of age as a reason not to start. They say, I'm too old. I haven't done this in my youth. I wasn't a gymnast. So what would you maybe say to people that are maybe using age as an excuse not to take that leap and actually try it for themselves?
I think that everybody has to start somewhere. They look at me and they go, "Oh, you used to be a gymnast," but I think, "Gee, that's 45 years ago. That's like another lifetime to me, really." And so I look at that, and the same thing with, I did martial arts and I did dance. Gymnastics gave me a lot of body awareness, of course, but in certain ways, it's made it more difficult for me today because I competed on cement floors. And cement floors ruin your cartilage in your hips and in your knees. And look at Mary Lou Retton in her 30s, she had to have 2 hip replacements. And she was on spring floors. So it is really challenging in terms of the joints. I don't think you're ever too old to start anything because you have to compete with yourself. Your competition's in the mirror. You can't start at my age and for me to look at people like you and say, "Gosh, I can never be like that." Of course, my body is never going to be able to do some of the things that you do and some of the things that some of these ladies that are uber flexible will do. I know that. But I can find out what I can do. And so the road turns left, you turn left, so to speak. And you find those things that your body will do, and you try to perfect them and make them better and maybe take the same move and create new shapes with it or create more meaning or different approach. You can always take the simplest moves, even a spin around the pole, like even doing a chair spin, and create new shapes with your legs and with your hands and bringing your body into it in a new way, like the transition in and out of it. So you can take the simplest things, and I think people starting out, if they look at that and allow their creativity and artistry to flourish, they will find that they can do some very meaningful, beautiful things. It's not all about the tricks.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Very, very good. And for you doing pole, you say it's a lot about kind of the creating and the artistry. When you were in kind of your competing phase, which you're not necessarily in at the moment, but was it all about, was that what I'll start again. Is that what was driving you, like competing and kind of winning the medals, or was it just part of, that was kind of an added bonus to the creativity side of it?
I think it really was an added bonus because the way this all started for me with competing is I was on American Ninja Warrior. I was actually on it twice. And the first time they called me to be on the show, when it aired on television, they said, "This is the oldest person to ever attempt the course." And I thought, really? Where's everybody else? And then I realized people were kind of encouraging me to compete. And of course, I didn't think I was nearly good enough. And I thought, well, I want to give visibility for my message. So it's not about winning. It's about showing somebody that my age can go out there and do it. And it gives me a goal and a challenge. So the first competitions I had to compete with, because I didn't have a master's division at that point, with some 18-year-olds. And I was competing against very young, very flexible, wonderful ladies. And then pretty soon they had master's divisions. And I think the first time when I qualified for Worlds, and I said to them, I would love to go, but I don't think I'm really qualified. I don't think I'm really good enough. And they said, well, I think you're going to do pretty well. So I was getting on that airplane, and I was ready to sit down. I go, I must be out of my mind. I have no business going here. And when I won, I have to say, I never expected it. It was totally surreal. And the fact that I kept doing well was really kind of overwhelming to me. I wasn't expecting it. And then I realized, okay, the reason I'm on the stage is that's a platform to somehow inspire other people to not let age or any limitation for that matter keep them from finding a passion and going after that passion with their entire being.
I think it's really natural to have a lot of kind of inner voices telling you shouldn't do something, and it takes a lot to step outside of that and actually make the jump to do something out of your comfort zone, and you know it could have gone wrong, or you know there's many things that could have happened, but in the end, even if you don't come away with the, you know, the silverware, as it were, or the gold medals, I think you can still learn a huge amount from going in to a pole class for the first time, or compete for the first time. You know, those little challenges that you overcome in everyday life can be hugely beneficial. So it's really inspiring, for sure, that you kind of put yourself out there. And as I say, most people would say, oh, you know, I can't do that. I can't possibly, you know, get on a plane and travel to another continent and compete in a world championships. But you did it, and here you are. So it's very inspiring.
Well, I think, Sarah, in life you have to have, everybody's gonna have some whatevers. It didn't turn out the way you want, right? But I'd rather have a few of those than a few of what ifs. What if I had, you know, so I look back on it and say, if I don't do this, I'm gonna say there was a missed opportunity. Sometimes opportunities don't represent themselves. And so I look at that as, yes, I have to push myself through that. We all have moments of hesitation or feel challenged by something. And I tell those people that are really having struggles moving through them, you just have to do that. Set that goal and you go after it. You have to be determined to move through it, because we all have challenges in life. But you have to build those muscles. It's not about asking for a lighter load, as you know, it's just building stronger shoulders. Like,
Indeed.
Keep going.
Do you have any slight kind of segue into the next question, which is quite good, which is why I'm smiling, but do you have any specific favorite exercise that you do for building said shoulders or your strength? Is there anything that you do specifically for your own strength training?
Pull-ups. That's about the only thing I do. I don't lift weights, but my husband has a pull-up bar, like to do his office, and I stand there and talk to him, and then I do some skin the cat.
Just rep out as you're talking to him.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I've learned to do them without cheating. I used to cheat when I started out doing them, and my son is very much into like the biomechanics of sports, and he said to me, "Mom, you have to take it the whole way to here." To the slightest bend, not this, you know, like not this.
Yeah, so you've got to go fully extend your arms at the bottom before you kind of go back up again.
Yeah, so he's into the exact biomechanics and the way the body is, and so I really spent a lot of time. Gave me a book called The Supple Leopard, which I've learned a lot from.
Yeah, I've read that. It's very good. I like Kelly Stewart.
And it taught me how important it is to stack muscles, how important it is that every biomechanics, the angles you do things makes a huge difference on the muscle groups and what you use. So I've tried to become a little bit more technical about my art form and what I do. Push-ups too, and that's another thing. You told me my push-ups were all wrong. You told me my push-ups, my arms need to be in by my body instead of out like this, because you can do so many more if you do it this way.
Yeah, if you flay your elbows, yeah, you know, you've got to keep them tucked in.
And planks are a little bit boring for me, but I like push-ups actually better because I'm moving.
Bit more dynamic.
But sometimes I do planks. I mean, I think planks are wonderful, and for people that can get through them and like them, I think it's a fantastic way, doing the planks with it on each side and doing them forward. I think that's really about it. But I believe that I believe just working on the pole, going around the pole doing pull-ups, right? Just doing spins and then pulling up as many times as you can with proper form, engaging the shoulders down, and try to make it as beautiful as possible. That's another thing, going around that pole and really trying to get the shoulders back so you look lyrical in what you're doing instead of like
shrugging
this,
the shoulders up. Yeah.
That's well, they start, they're like this, and then you think, okay, just get the shoulders down, you know, and get my leg back and have it look like I'm flying and doing something effortless. I mean, that's the goal. And so I keep practicing getting the form right. And in the interim, I'm exercising. I don't think I'm doing a pull-up. I think I'm trying to perfect my lines.
I think, repetition is so key on the pole. I think, again, there's quite a big culture of doing a trick once or twice and then moving on from it quite quickly and not necessarily focusing on the transitions and doing something for many, many, many times until you master it truly. So things like climbing, simple spins, making your inverts look clean and controlled, dismounting, really controlled. All of those, you're still working the muscles and building strength. It's just not maybe as fun as learning a new trick, but it's going to make your whole pole expression so much cleaner in the long run. So that's a very, very good piece of advice.
That's totally where my focus is now. I remember several years back, maybe 5 years ago, when I met Ona Kavela, and I said to her, I need to learn some more exciting tricks. And I was still doing the Russian then and some things that were fairly advanced. She goes, you don't need more tricks. You have to work on your transitions. And she was right. It's the transitions in there. That's what people forget about. They forget about when you go up to that pole. What are you saying to that pole? Like when you go to touch it, even to do a handspring, are you saying, pole, I have arrived? Are you saying something? You're just grabbing the pole.
It's nice when you watch a routine and it's not even like it's clear what's a trick and what's a transition. Like they almost merge into one. It should be kind of fluid throughout the routine rather than just like, oh, they're building up to something, trick, get down, work, walk across the other pole, trick. It's nice if it's just the whole thing has been thought of and all the little details make so much difference.
Yeah, and that's something that I keep working on all the time. I mean, I see there's so many areas that I could not telegraph what I'm going to do next. And, like you said, that's the beauty when they just drop into something or flow into something. And so it's a journey. It's a journey. It's something that you keep exploring new ways and new possibilities. And
that's why it's so fun. That's why we love it so much, because it's endless.
It's such a dynamic art form. There's so much that you can do with it. And now they're adding all these different modalities with it because they combine like spinning pole and silks and all kinds of things. And there's so much you can do. It's like at this point, the world is our oyster. And people are just exploring all these creativities. And look what has happened to even in the past 5, 6, 7 years. You used to win 8 years ago with an extended butterfly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I remember deadlift, they saw, they go, oh, that person must be using strings or something, right? To elevate.
Yeah.
Right? Couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. And now, look how that barometer has raised.
Yeah. I teach intermediate workshops now and people come in and I ask them what they can do and I'm like, that should be advanced. Why are you all getting so good? Calm down. You're meant to be intermediate. Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And so all you can do with people like that is bring artistry to it.
Exactly. There's a lot of the stuff that they'll learn advanced tricks, but maybe they haven't spent as much time on the foundations and the transitions. So there's always more that everybody can learn, which is why it's so fun.
Right. But you're right. I mean, it's amazing how much talent there is out there. I think it's such a fabulous industry. I mean, the women that are in the pole art form, they're so empowering. They're such hard workers. It's not an easy sport. And they rise up to the challenge and they work so hard and they're such a positive, inspiring group of people for me. And I just feel so blessed to have been drawn to this industry.
We're blessed to have you in it. Cheesy but true.
Well, no, I do. I feel so immensely grateful. The reason I actually got into this is both of my sisters were diagnosed with beginnings of osteopenia, which is the beginning of osteoporosis. And they're younger than I am. And my mother had it pretty terribly. So they said, we found out we have the beginnings of this, and you do. I'm sure you do too. So I said, okay, what can I do to offset it? I'm pretty good shape. But I realized I didn't have a program that was giving me enough weight-bearing exercise. Mm-hmm. And so I researched I could lift weights, which didn't seem as creative. It didn't seem as much fun to me. Or I found you could lift your body. And then I went to YouTube and I saw these amazing videos. You were probably one of them. And they were, I'm telling you, I looked at them and I go, oh, this is so beautiful and so artistic. This is what I want to do. Mm. And so the rest is history.
The rest is history. Exactly. Is there anything, obviously, because you train quite regularly still, is there anything that you do to help your body recover so that you can continue for kind of have longevity do it in your pole career, or do you find that your body recovers quite well?
My body recovers fairly well if I listen to it. And I used to overtrain, and I used to be sore all the time. And I think you've heard a lot of complaints from people, I'm always sore. Well, that's because they're not giving themselves recovery time. So the way I train now, I have a studio in my home. So I train every other day, and I train lots of passes. I don't train particular routines. I'm not working particular routine right now, but I work on the passes that I would do in a routine. And I videotape them and work on those. And the next day, I do things like I have a hammock, so I do like aerial yoga, more stretching, things that allow my body to recover, but keep movement, because your body loves to move. Mm-hmm. Moving offsets arthritis. It helps the lactic acid leave your body faster. So I do that, and I eat pretty much a paleo diet. I eat a pretty clean diet. For people that don't know what paleo is, it's organic vegetables and fruits, and if people eat meat, it's all grass-fed. The fish that I eat is freshly caught. Mm-hmm. I really don't eat any flour, white sugar, unpronounceable products. Mm-hmm. Most of the time. Every now and then, yes, I'll have a bite of cake or something like that. But we never eat at our house. We never make it. And I find that it really does keep my inflammation down. I think that diet is really important. Take some supplements. I think I don't overdo it. I think everything in moderation, everything's a balance, but I do take supplements. I do take things that I feel that are relevant, particularly for somebody my age.
Are there any that you would recommend that people look into, or is it more, do you think, is it personal and they need to maybe have a look into what they may be lacking first, or is there any kind of like staple things that you would recommend?
Well, I personally, besides the regular taking a really good multiple organic vitamin, multiple vitamin with minerals, I love curcumin, which is turmeric. I feel that really helps me a lot. Like omega-3s, there's some other ones that I put in that I think really help. I don't overdo it, but I do have some really good supplements that my husband gives me that are for people that work in sports, and it combines a lot of those things in high dosages, mm-hmm. Or appropriate dosages rather. And that helps me recover. Let's see, is there anything else in that line that I find that I take that really helps me? I feel like I forgot something, but can't think what it is.
We can always add it in. We can always add it into the notes underneath. If there's any like specific links or anything that you'd like to share with them, with the listeners, then I can link it below. So don't worry if it slipped your mind.
I just think it's really important to eat properly, and I don't eat a lot. I eat smaller meals, and hydrate a lot with water. Drink a lot of herbal teas, and a glass of red wine now and then.
I think that's allowed.
Yeah, I think it's great for your heart and your blood, and I find out a little bit of that really does help me. But I do everything I can to keep the inflammation down, because I see so many pole artists, they take a lot of ibuprofen for inflammation. And although sometimes it may be indicated, if you can do it naturally, it's much better on your body.
Mm. You sound like you're very kind of in tune with your body, like with your diet and your training. And I think intuitively eating is a really good way to get awareness of like when you're hungry, when you're not hungry, if you're not recovering well from training. And it's a skill, it takes a while to get to that. I think people want results quite quickly if they change their diet, and it does take a long time to be able to get to that point of being able to just, I know what I can eat, I know what I can't eat, I know what fuels my body and my energy levels, that's I think a skill that people overlook and expect diet to kind of happen quite naturally, and it's something you have to work on. So yeah, that's very, very inspiring and helpful for people to hear.
You really can change your body at a cellular level, because I don't desire things that aren't good for me. I just don't desire them. I don't feel like eating things. I mean, it's kind of like if you know you're going to train, you're not going to go eat a big meal before it, right? Mm. Because if you train with a full stomach, you can't train as hard.
Yeah.
It takes your energy away. So that. So like before I train, I eat something very, very light, maybe a little fruit or something. But I know that. So in that respect, you're always listening to your body regarding training, and then it kind of expands over to your whole life. You say, okay, you start listening to what you listen. You start listening what your body needs. You start listening, what do I eat before I train? It helps me, gives me a little more energy. Is it something with a little bit of carbohydrates in it? I love bromelain too. I guess that's the one I miss. My husband makes me these drinks. That's what I should have mentioned.
We all need your husband to come and make us stuff, feed us supplements.
He's wonderful. He's a fabulous cook, and he makes these fabulous drinks where he puts whatever we have, but it's usually fresh pineapple because of the bromelain in it. It's really good for inflammation. And whatever we have, if it's kelp, if it's cilantro, he puts different things in it, and he puts it into the blender, and it's kind of thick. Most people might think it's a little thick because it's not like most of the juices that you get, because he says, I need the roughage, it's good for me. And he sometimes puts other little berries in or whatever we have. And they're wonderful. And it feels, when you drink it, it just feels so alive and so fresh. And whenever he makes his organic gardens, he tries to grow a lot of the things too. And that makes a difference too, because not only do we always get organic food, but when you get it right out of the garden, it's completely fresh. I mean, it was just growing minutes ago, and now it's in your body. So you feel the chlorophyll in it, you feel the aliveness. And so I believe diet can make a real big difference.
But is there anything else that you'd like to, kind of last pieces of advice you'd like to give for kind of the Off the Pole listeners? Any nuggets of goodness that we can pull from you before I let you go?
I think you've been fantastic. You covered so much. Is there anything else? Well, I just want to inspire people, no matter where they are, to remember, like I said earlier, that your competition is in the mirror, that every day is a chance to improve on something. Look at it as an art form. Look at it as a way of bringing more creativity into your life, going deep inside and touching that inner muse. We all have a muse within that inspires and empowers us. And that muse is what gives passion to your life. So if you find a piece that you're working on, whether it's choreography, and you touch that and allow that to not just that muse to connect with it while you are doing the dance, but bringing it into your life. Find things that are meaningful. Like many people I've seen, they have worked through issues in their life, and the dance allowed them to heal that. So I really believe that you can use this art form to enrich and empower our lives at all levels, if we allow it, and if we go deep inside and find something about it that is going to kind of give them a different vantage point on what they're going through, and at the same time empower them at levels that they didn't even know existed.
That's perfect ending to the podcast.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm immensely grateful for every opportunity to somehow inspire people to go after their dreams.
Oh, well, I've loved having you on, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. She's such a fantastic representative for the pole community, and I hope we see many more people take up pole inspired because of her. If you want to keep up to date with upcoming episodes, make sure you subscribe in iTunes, and all of the transcripts of the podcasts can be found on the Off the Pole website.